Well, hello there, friends. How are you doing? Welcome back to the Kingdom Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Pyle. And today we're going to be starting a new series. So we just came out of a whole big launch. If you were with us for the last few weeks, we were talking about ready for sales and built for sales. I don't know if you have been around over the last few episodes. But just to kind of catch you up, if this is the first episode that you're watching. Okay. So I started this podcast. This is a second podcast for me. So I had a podcast called Position to Prosper for 5 years and absolutely loved it. But in the last couple of years of that podcast, I really started to focus in on kingdom entrepreneurs and helping Jesus Girl entrepreneurs to plan, build, launch, and scale their online businesses. And I just decided that I wanted to start something fresh because I wanted to have a podcast where we could just talk about those things. And so I started the podcast a few months ago, and this is episode 10. And so if you go back to the beginning, you'll hear me talking about the basic framework that I use with my clients to help them to start and build and launch and scale an online business. And it follows something called the Build with Faith framework. And so we've talked a lot about that. And then I did a workshop just a few weeks ago called Ready for Sales, where I talked about the Kingdom Business Sales Acceleration System. And I handed that system out in that workshop. And then I offered for folks to come in and be a part of our Built for Sales program, which was open and is actually still open. It's a platform with support and community that you could join. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I Because of all of that and so much that we've been, doing over the last few weeks, I wanted to just take a minute and just kind of slow down. We are headed somewhere. Each year at the end of December, I host something called the Jesus Girl Gang Plan Your Year workshop. And it's probably my most popular event that I do all year. I do lots of workshops, lots of challenges. I do lots of free or low ticket coaching around launching business online. And this one, the Plan Your Year workshop, is like the jam. I mean, everybody wants it. So I'm excited about it because I know that it's something that folks really like, that, Jesus girls are really drawn to, because I think that we get to a place where we think, you know what, I've been dreaming about this. I've been thinking about it. Maybe I've been trying a bunch of different things and they're not working. So let me get together with other like-minded, like-spirited women who are looking to launch and build and scale their businesses online. And let's talk about planning out our year. And that's just the kind of girl that I roll with. She's the girl who has the vision and the calling from God. She knows what she wants to do with and for God in this business space. And maybe she's started to build that, but along that pathway, maybe has gotten stuck or is in the swirl or is feeling like I've tried 15,000 different strategies or different pathways, different funnel types, and nothing seems to be working. And it's like, I need a fresh start and I need fresh, like, wind for what I want to do in the new year. And I got to tell you that if that's you, if you're like, you know what, I know I really want to do this, but right now I'm not at six figures. I'm not even at a consistent 5,000 a month. Well, listen, sister, then you're in the right place. You're in the right place because this is the place, this is the podcast, and this is the community where we help you to get to your first 1,000 in a month, and then to your first 5,000, and then to that $10,000 mark. And there you are at six figures. That's where we live. That's our spot. Like I have people that I work with that are beyond that, and that's fine. But what I have found is that this area, this sub niche of women kingdom business entrepreneurs who are just starting and wanting to be consistent in that starting spot, not a lot of people want to work at that level with folks at that level. Maybe it's because of the price points. Maybe it's because, I think a lot of it is that women who are launching businesses online and they're trying a bunch of different things and they don't have a lot of resource available to them, they think to themselves, oh, it's too soon for coaching. And I got to tell you something. This was my breakthrough. For years and years, I kept on trying to do it on my own. I kept on trying to figure it out all on my own. And I was strategy switching every couple of months, and I was tweaking everything in my social media feeds. And I was trying all these different approaches to selling. And I was changing my content pillars, my content categories. I was so all over the place. And I just was like, I've tried this at that time, I was trying it on my own for like 5 or 6 years. And I could get to, some income. I had a membership and I had people join like in it. It wasn't consistently growing. And I was also grossly undercharging, grossly. And because I had so many things that I was trying, so many irons in the fire, I wasn't being consistent about one thing so that I could see it grow. And so I was doing that. And then I just was like, why can I not figure this out? And I literally prayed. I'd been praying, pray, but I literally one day I prayed about it and God was like, you need a coach. You need a coach. And the way that I found a coach was I was looking for a planning tool. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for a tutorial on a planning tool that I wanted to use. And I found this person on YouTube who was teaching on this tool, a tutorial on the tool. And I was like, I love this woman. And come to find out that was just like an entry thing. Like she was actually a business coach. And so the more that I got to know her by learning this tool from her, I realized I want to be coached by her. And so I was praying, heard you need a coach. And I was like, all right, I'm in. And I tried to get into her program. It wasn't open at the time. Then it was open. Then I started asking questions and it was like it was just like a workshop program. There was no interaction really. And then they opened up a program where it was group coaching. And I hopped on that thing so fast. And when I got into the group coaching session, and I was sharing about what was happening for me, I'll always remember this because I was like, this is what I've been doing. And this is like what I'm trying and I'm being consistent and I'm showing up. I mean, is this familiar to any of you? I know what I want, what I'm trying to sell, what I'm trying to build. I'm showing up consistently on social media. I'm doing a podcast. I am emailing consistently and just nothing is growing. Nothing is consistent. And, she was like, let's look at your content. Let's look at what you're doing. And very quickly, we realized that I was just all over the place. I didn't have any consistent plan to walk out. I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't have like a step-by-step strategy that I was following. And so I would try something for like a month and then I'd be like, this isn't working. And so then I'd switch it up. So she could see that just by looking like at my social media feeds, just by looking at the titles on my podcast episodes for the last 8 to 10 episodes. She could see it in my email copy. She just was like, you are everywhere. And if you are confusing people. And I was like, oh my gosh, in my effort to try and find the person that I was meant to serve, I was actually confusing everybody. And the girl who was meant to find me, she couldn't even find me. And I remember there was this one moment where she was looking at my feed and she was like, do you like what you're talking about on here? And I was like, because at the time I was foot first as a certified holistic health coach. I was coming at the business coaching from the other end. So I was a certified holistic health coach who was in network marketing. And I was like, you'll get the business coaching when you come into my program. You'll get the coaching when you come into my team. And I wanted a business coach, but the way that my model was set up, I was leading with health coaching and specifically with stuff on adrenals and burnout and overwhelm and things like that. And she was like, do you like talking about this? And I just remember I had this moment. I said to her, I was like, no, I actually, I'm talking about this because this is what gets the person in who would join my team and do what I'm doing. And then I could coach her. And she's like, but what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to help like Christian women start and launch and scale their businesses. Like I'm a process engineer. That is what I have a background in. I have a master's of science in taxation. I was in the marketplace for many years, but I was a process engineer and a process implementer, and I did forensics, and I worked with helping companies to create process so that their systems were safe, so that their accounting was safe. And I loved it. And I loved going around and teaching the different subsidiaries of my company how to follow these processes and how to see their numbers grow, their metrics grow, and how we came together and we did this incredible thing together. That really makes me excited. And even in network marketing, that was my thing. I wanted to help women to build a business that could change their life, and not like it was about impact and income, if that makes sense. Like, and that's still what I am today. But she was like, Erica, just understand, you can keep on doing this and being consistent, and maybe it'll pan out, but everybody can tell that it's not what makes your heart sing. And if it's also killing you to do it, then why are you doing it? And I said to her, I was like, look, I get that. And I would rather just talk about what I want to talk about. I was like, but I don't, I don't like, how do I just show up like that? And that for me was the beginning of the transformation, because I believe that, this episode is, dream to do, planning to build and launch your kingdom business in 2026 and scale it if you've already started. But what I realized is that I had never gotten out of the dream phase and fully into the do phase, because I kept on thinking, if I just do this stuff that I don't like to do long enough, then eventually I'll get to do the stuff that I like to do. But what I didn't realize is that I was standing in my own way, because I wasn't even able to get my message and my solutions to the women who I was called to serve. I was working on this weird thing, and I had to come to terms with the fact that my mindset was messed up. So on this episode, I really want to unpack these three things that, as we go into the next few weeks, I want to take you through something called the Dream to Do workbook. Okay. So this is something that you can download. You can go to ericapyle.com/dream to do, and you can download this. It's free. It's like a 7 or 8 page PDF, and it has 3 steps in it for how I'm going to get you prepared to launch and scale in the new year. But I believe that we've got to get you a solid foundation first and get you decided what you're doing. Because for me, this was the turning point. This was the pivot, was when I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it, that I was just prioritizing wanting to be successful, wanting to be like, I did it. I made it work. I hit a certain income amount. I have a business. Yay, me. And then I'm like, but it's killing me. And it's like, wait a second. I put success before service. I put the productivity before the purpose, and it was showing, in my results. And so what I want to do, because I know that a lot of times you're like, Eric, I want to launch, I don't need to go back to dreaming. Okay, I believe that, because the reality is, I think sometimes we get too caught in planning. I think we get too caught in vision boards. I think we get too caught up sometimes in just buffering in the planning and the fonts and the colors, and get our website planned out. And it's like, okay, but what are you called to do? What is your purpose in the marketplace? Why did God call you to be a kingdom entrepreneur online? Like, what's your sound? What's your solution? What's your offer? Who are the people that you're called to serve? And how are you going to get that solution, that product, that offer? How are you going to deliver it to the people that you're called to serve? Those are the primary pieces. Okay. But on the ends of that are mindset coming in and then systems on the other side. This is the Build with Faith framework, just so you know. But when we're talking about coming into a new year and saying this year's going to be different, I'm actually going to have traction this year. I'm going to launch and I'm going to scale, meaning I'm not just going to have this one off like thing that happens and I'm able to do it, but then it's like heavy lifting and then I don't know how to reproduce it, or I feel like it was a freak thing and now I don't know what to do next. No, sister, this is not a pop up shop. You have a business. God has called you to a business. You're an entrepreneur, you're building a business. And so we need to, the core of that business is your offer, your audience, and how you're going to sell that thing, how you're going to get the offer to your audience so that they can have the solution. But coming in is mindset. And then you've got to have systems that automate all that and keep it moving forward. Make sense? Okay. So that's why this Dream to Do workbook, we're going to unpack it over the next few weeks. Today, I just wanted to give you kind of like an introduction to it because in the Dream to Do workbook, I'm going to take you through a 3-step process so that we can get prepared for the Plan Your Year workshop that's happening at the end of December. Okay. I want to make sure that you're prepared so that when we sit down at Plan Your Year, you're showing up like an entrepreneur. You're showing up like a business owner. You're showing up like the kingdom Jesus girl entrepreneur who's on a mission and wants to make impact and income, because that's who is going to benefit from the Plan Your Year workshop. Because in the Plan Your Year workshop, we are going to set your launch schedule for the year. We're going to make sure that we know what your offer is, what your offer pathway is, what your customer journey is, and just we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to plan out your launches, we're going to plan out your revenue for the year, and I'm going to give you all sorts of skill sets and tools and resources so that you can plan. Because I know not everybody's a planner. Planning is like a language for me. Planning is like I came out into the world able to do it. Like it's just a gift. It's a grace that I have. And I absolutely love to walk people through it. So maybe that's why that workshop is my most popular, because I absolutely love to help people plan for their success. Like I love it. And it's easy to me to see it. And so if I can help someone to see like, okay, here's how you plan out your revenue. Well, first we do your offer plan and like, what can you reasonably do? What can you build? What can you manage over 12 months? Okay, let's talk about runways. Let's figure out how we plan that in. And then, okay, from there, now back up. Let's talk about revenue. How can we, what kind of revenue is this going to be able to generate? Okay, what do we need to do? What steps do we need to take to build that all out so that we can reach that revenue goal? And that's what we do in the Plan Your Year workshop. Okay. If you're not ready to talk like a real entrepreneur who's really going to do business online and is really going to launch and scale her business in 2026, all that's going to be is noise. And all it's going to do is stress you out. So I decided that I wanted to bring you through the Dream to Do exercise because it's 3 steps. It's number 1 is the brain dump. All you do is, and we'll talk about this next week, is you fill out the brain dump journey. And it's just all the little details that you've probably been like swirling around. You've been thinking about, you've been vision boarding. Maybe you've tried some things. It's like, stop. We're going to go into one document and we're going to just put it all down. We're going to put the brain dump down once and for all with purpose, because we're going to take it into step 2, which is the basics checklist. And this is a form of the Build with Faith framework, the middle pieces. Remember how I told you that in the middle was the offer, the audience, and the vehicle for how you get the offer, the solution to your audience, how you get the product to your audience. So the basics checklist goes through the 5 boxes, the 5 kind of like sections that you need to think about when we're going to build. Okay. And then we finally get into step 3. So a few episodes down the road, we're going to be talking about your beginning blueprint and just getting some steps together so that you're like, okay, I'm not swirling. I'm not wild and trying to throw darts at the wall and figure out what I'm doing. It's like, no, Erica took me through the brain dump. We saw what we wanted to create. We saw what we were going to be doing. Okay. Then we brought it into the basics. We're like, okay, we take the vision and we make it practical, because now we're going to look through these basics for a checklist. Okay. And then we're going to take those steps, those things that we know we need to do, And then we're going to put them into a work plan, a blueprint, and say, okay, I know that I need to do this. So we're going to start getting you thinking like a real operating online entrepreneur, because this is what it takes. Like, I know that sometimes when you look at people out online, you're thinking that, oh, they just like, they're out there just talking about their thing and people just love what they're wanting. And so they like go get it. No, on the back end these days, buyers are so sophisticated right now. Like, they have become so sophisticated coming into this new year. It's like they under, like, even buyers understand, well, it should go like this and this. I should be able to press a button, put in my information. You're going to give me an upsell. I'm going to decide that I don't want it or that I do want it. And then I'm going to get a thank you confirmation page. And you'll probably try to sell me on something else on the thank you page. But I do know that I'm going to get an email that gives me access to the thing that I bought and a confirmation that I bought the thing. Like, they know this. So if you're not operating like that and you don't have the system set up for that, they're going to think, what's going on here? Like, why is she just having me cash app her? And how am I even going to get the thing that she's offering me? Right. So it's like, we really do need to get into the mindset of being a true online entrepreneur. And that means we got to deal with some mindset stuff. Then we got to do the core, which is what the Dream to Do workbook is going to help you to do. So download it. Go to ericapyle.com/dream to do. All right. And then we talk about systems, and the Plan Your Year workshop is when we actually implement your first and most important system, which is your planning, your stewardship of your time, your effort, and your energy in the new year. Like, you got to plan it. You got to have a blueprint. My core offer, like my core program, my signature program is called the Jesus Girls Business Blueprint. And it takes you step by step through a blueprint of how to build and launch your business online. It's an 8-module course. It's like very involved. So everything that I do starts with, we need a plan. We need a plan. I listen. I understand that as believers, we can get into the mindset of thinking to ourselves, oh, but I'm spirit filled. So shouldn't I just be able to pray about it and wake up in the morning and just do what I want to do? Um, tech Technically, sure. Like, the Bible says, don't make plans without checking in with God, because don't say you're going to go here one day and there next year, right? Because like, maybe you won't. So I get that. I get that. But look at this. In Proverbs 16:3, it says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. So a lot of times people are like, well, then I don't have to plan. No. That's not what that says. It says, if you will commit your work, your business, what you want to build to the Lord, he will establish your plans. That means you have to have plans and he will establish them. Did you ever read that like that? Have you ever understood it like that? So many times people teach that verse and they're like, "Oh, he'll give me plans." No. He'll establish them. All right? Look at this one. Proverbs 3 verses 5-7, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make your paths straight, right? Be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. And it goes on in verse 8 to talk about how it affects your health. And being a holistic health coach, a certified holistic health coach, that really impacts me, because it's like, look, when you trust, not only will your paths be made straight, your job be made easier, but also verse 8 says that it's healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. And so if you've been thinking like, oh, I should just be able to like hear God and take a step in a particular day, and then he'll just keep on giving me next step after next step, you could do it that way. But there's just too much scripture for me that leads me to believe that to be a good steward of our time, our energy, and our talents is really important to the Lord, being a good steward. And that means that we plan, like we have the biblical principles, but we also know what works. And that's what the Kingdom Business Podcast here is all about. I want to bring real strategies, real business strategies for launching and scaling your business online, coming into contact with real faith. Because I'll tell you, there are days that I wake up and God's like, post this. There will be days when I'll wake up and I know that I have to put out an ad. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do an ad on. And I'll wake up, boop, and God will be like, go do a walk and talk about this. And I'm like, okay. And I get up and I go do the walk and talk, and it becomes my most productive ad in the ad set. So I'm not telling you that God doesn't give us great ideas, and I'm not saying to not listen to him. It's just that you are going to find yourself stuck and dead in the water so many times if you're not willing to be a planner, if you're not willing to sit down and say, okay, this is the vision he gave me. This is the people that I'm called to help. This is how I'm going to help them. Okay, now I'm going to take all that stuff that he gave me and I'm going to put it into a plan, because that's good stewardship. And that's the difference between what I'm calling the dream to do process and maybe what we do sometimes when we just buffer and think about, well, let me just think about it some more. Okay? We don't want to do that. So, what I want to finish up with today with you is to really think about three pre-steps. Okay? So, step one, if we're going to step into the dream to do process next week, I want to take you through these pre-steps. I think it's really important. Okay. So, the first step is a mindset reset. Remember how I told you in the build with faith framework, the first real step is mindset. So, you've got to break agreement with the stuckness and with the swirl. It means that you've got to call out limiting beliefs. You've got to call out the fears, the things that are keeping you stuck. And it really means 2 Corinthians 10:5ing every thought that comes into your mind. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ. If you need help with that, I have a tool for that. You can go to ericapyle.com/thoughts. All it does is walk you through the 2 Corinthians 10:5 process. But if you like a nice little worksheet to guide you through, go grab the worksheet, ericapyle.com/thoughts. Okay. So that's the first step. You have to make a decision. Listen, your thoughts are choices, okay? I need you to understand that this is key. If you're going to step in and do anything differently, nothing changes if nothing changes. And the key that you need to hear me in is this: if your thinking doesn't change, then nothing changes. And most of the time, it goes down to a belief. Isaiah 7:9, God says, if you will not believe, surely you shall not be established. In other translations, it says, if you won't believe, I cannot establish you. I cannot establish you. What? Yeah, that's in the Bible. And so if we are committed to a mindset of, let's see, if we're committed to a mindset of this never works, but I'll try again, but it never works. If we're committed to a mindset of I can only ever get 80% of the way and I always get stuck here, guess what you're going to get? Whatever you believe is what God can establish you in. So I want to encourage you, pre-step one, before we step into dream to do, you need to establish your mindset. You need to say, I'm doing this no matter what. If God said it, this settles it, I'm moving on. Like, that's it. You have to make that decision. Okay, that's pre-step one. Let's talk about pre-step two. You ready? Pre-step two is you want to claim what you're building. Now, you can do this in step one of the Dream to Do workbook. You're more than welcome to go ahead, like step ahead. If you download the workbook at ericapyle.com/dream to do, you can move into the first step. Go for it. Do the brain dump, because that's going to actually get you started on this second pre-step of claim what you're building. Now, this could be a vision board. This could be your business journal where you've written down specifically what it is that you do, the sound that you make, the solution that you bring, right? You can define your audience, the person that you're called to serve, and you can even write down like, this is how I want to help them. This is how I want to get my solution to them or my product to them. And that's all a matter of claiming what it is you're building. And you could look at your new year, and you could be like, this is what I want to see in the new year. But this is really a form of a visioning exercise where it's like, I'm drawing a line in the ground, in the sand, and I'm saying, this is what I'm expecting. Claim what you're going to build. Make a statement. Because just like I said to you, if you will not believe, surely you won't be established. And so it takes for you to define it. I have an exercise that I do with my community called the What Do You Want exercise. I probably have a worksheet for that somewhere. I don't know what the URL is. But here's the deal. What this process is based on is scripture. There were times when Jesus would walk into a crowd and there'd be someone who was sick or not well, not whole, and it was obvious because like he could see that their arm wasn't working or their legs weren't working or that they couldn't see or that they had leprosy. Like he could see. He knows, right? And he has discernment too. But he would say this thing. He'd say, "What do you want? What do you want?" In other places, like in John 5, when he's with the guy at the pool of Bethesda, where he's been invalid for 38 years, the guy's complaining, and Jesus is like, "Do you want to be made well?" The guy's like, "What? Like, I'm trying. I'm trying to get in the water." He's like, "No, no, no. What do you want? What do you want?" And so years and years ago, I started doing this exercise so that people would begin, because it's different than a vision board. On a vision board, you're just dreaming and you're cutting out pictures, you're just like drawing things, and that's fine. I think that's great. But there's somewhere that you have to bring it to a piece of paper that says, "This is what I want in 2026. This is what I'm believing for. This is what I'm praying for. This is what I'm claiming." You with me? So that is pre-step number 2, is you've got to sit down and say to yourself, "This is what I want to see in the new year." And even before we plan it, even before we get to the planning workshop, even before we get there and we think about how much money can you actually make, you need to sit with the Lord and you need to pray and you need to write it down. What are you claiming for 2026? Pray about it and get clear, and then claim what you're building, right? What offer are you launching in 2026? Who are you going to be called to serve? What system or platform will you use to deliver your offers? I'm going to walk you through all of this as we go towards the planning workshop, but these are pre-steps. So number 1, get your mindset right. Reset your mindset. Pre-step number 2, claim what you're building. And here's step number 3. If you have never launched, or if you are in the swirl, in the stuckness, or in the chaos, and you know that the thing that's going to get you out is that you need a fresh start, okay? I want you to set a launch date milestone. When in 2026 do you want to launch your first thing? Because that's going to take us into the process. That's going to be a little bit of the framework that's going to tell us how quick do we need to move, what do we need to do, and when. And it lights a fire under us. I don't think it's enough to just be doing all of this in like theory. It's never going to work if you're just like, "Well, let me learn everything first and then I'll determine when I'm going to start." Sister, stop. Just stop. That's called buffering. That's called buffering. You're making an excuse. You're justifying your procrastination. And look, I gotta tell you, like, this is my spirit animal right here. I'm a hammer. I'm gonna call you on it. I'm gonna call me on it. I'm not gonna play around about that, because the reality is procrastination ruins more kingdom businesses than anything else. Self-doubt, second guessing, these are all things that my hammer is going to come out for. I'm going to be like, nut, 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 nut. And I'm not going to bang you. I'm going to be like, "Hey, why don't you get the thoughts exchange worksheet and 2 Corinthians 10:5, that stuff, because it doesn't belong in the kingdom." Self-doubt? No, no, no. If God said it, that settles it. Second guessing? No, no. If God said it, that settles it. Boop, 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 boop. Right? Procrastination? We are not of those who shrink back. Right? Come on, we're more than conquerors. We run the race as if to win. Listen, I'm a Bible teacher, so I could go all day long. I could go from front to back all day long and give you all of the scripture for why we need to stop second guessing, self-doubting, and procrastinating. You need to just do the thing that God said to do. In John 14, Jesus said this thing. Are you ready for the heart stake? Right? The love stake of God in your heart. Jesus said to his disciples, "If you love me, you will obey my commandments." But Jesus still loves me. Yes, he still loves you. But do you love Jesus? You show him and you're proven in that when you obey his commandments. That's what Jesus said. And if you're thinking that your business is exempt from that, if you think that God calling you to build a kingdom business is exempt from that, you're mistaken, because you are one person with one purpose and multiple assignments and seasons. And if he's called you in this season to build a business, then it's just the same strength of command as when he says, have a baby, or when he says, get married, or when he says, do this mission, do this exercise. You've got to understand that your business has a God purpose. It has a kingdom purpose built into it. And so it's time for you to start taking this seriously. That's why those 3 precepts are so vital. Reset your mindset, claim what you're building, and set a milestone, set a launch date, because these are the things that will propel us forward in Christ. These are the things that, yes, you can be empowered by the Spirit, but here's the thing. Look at Jonah. You can totally run in the wrong direction. Like, and there's a difference between, well, I got there, but I got there because I went on a boat going the wrong direction and having to get picked up by a fish in the sea, and then had to get spit out on the shore, and then figure it out, and then was still bitter about it in the end. That is not the journey that we want. The journey we want is to step in joy and in purpose and in confidence. Don't throw away your confidence. And to say, okay, I can do this. If he said it, that settles it. Now let's plan. Does that sound like a good deal? All right. So then here's what I want you to do, my friend. I want you to download the Dream to Do workbook so that you have the workbook for the next few weeks of the podcast. Okay. So go to ericapyle.com/dream to do. And then let me give you your homework. I want you to get your business notebook, your Google Doc, your journal that you have, wherever you're doing your business notes for this podcast. You have a notebook for this podcast, right? Come on. Come on. We've been talking this whole time about how this is a done with you experience. You can come find me on Instagram, get into my DMs. I'm at Erica Pyle. Let me know that you're a podcast listener. Let's talk about where you are in your business journey right now. Let's do this together. That is the beauty of this podcast, is that you don't have to do it alone. You can come here to YouTube on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm streaming live. You can come talk to me in the comments, and I will talk back to you. I'm like looking right now to see if there's anything that I need to address. But you can come on Instagram. But the other thing is, have a notebook for this podcast. This is like your free training. This is like your free coaching experience. I would have like absolutely loved to have someone in podcast form that was looking at me and saying, "Hey girl, come on, we could do it together." Like I'm going to walk you the next 6 weeks towards the Plan Your Year workshop. And then I'm going to invite you into the Plan Your Year workshop, and we're going to do it together. Like, this is what we're doing. So download your workbook, ericapyle.com/dream to do, and then get your journal, your business journal that you've been doing your activation steps for this podcast in. And I want you to answer these 3 questions. Okay. They're in the description of this video, or they're in the description of the podcast episode, wherever you're listening, but I'm going to tell you them right now. Okay. Number 1, where have I been circling instead of deciding? Where have I been buffering instead of deciding? Where have I been stalling or procrastinating instead of deciding and moving forward? Go ahead and call yourself on that. Okay. Go ahead and find it. Go find the place that you've been getting stuck, where you've been circling, where you've been procrastinating and buffering. Write it down. Write it down. Be like, well, when I think about what platform I'm going to use, I get overwhelmed and there's so many options. And so I just shut it down. Or you might say, well, I tried to launch it and I launched to crickets. And so I don't know if I want to deal with that again. Name it. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, what is God asking me to commit to building in 2026? Claim what you're building. Okay. What is God calling me to commit to build in 2026 in my business? And then number 3 is, what is my first real launch milestone in the new year? So we're going to hit those 3 pre-steps. Did you see it? Mindset, claim what you're building, set your launch milestone. That's your activation step for this week. All right. So that's where I'm going to leave us today. Don't forget, download the workbook so that you have it. We're going to get into it next week, ericapyle.com/dream to do. And then here's the thing. If you know that you want to go on this journey with me, then I want you to get on the wait list for the Jesus Girl Gang Plan Your Year workshop. You can go to ericapyle.com/plan your year and get on the wait list. Let that be one of the actions that you take that says, I'm serious. I'm doing this in the new year and I'm going to do it with Erica because I'm willing to go with you. I'm willing to get this moving with you and put it in a system, in a plan that you can actually take step by step by step, and you can do it. All right. So go to ericapyle.com/plan your year if you want to hop on that, the wait list for the Plan Your Year. As soon as the registration opens up, I will tell you all about it. And I'm thinking I might do an early bird. I am. I'm thinking that I might do an early bird for people who sign up early. I'll give you a deal. Okay. So get on that wait list, because if you're on the wait list, that's who's going to get the early bird discount. So hop on ericapyle.com/plan your year. All right. Okay. That's what we have for this week. I'm really excited to be coming back next week to start unpacking the Dream to Do workbook with you. All right. So go do your activation steps, download your Dream to Do workbook, get on the Plan Your Year wait list, and I will see you here next week, same time, same channel. All right. Have a great week. Bye for now.